Many people are unaware that while we sleep, our bodies undergo a remarkable series of restorative processes, neurological, hormonal, and muscular. But there's a lesser known challenge that accompanies sleep, particularly for those focused on maintaining or building muscle mass: the risk of overnight muscle catabolism or muscle breakdown. This isn't about fear-mongering, it's about physiology. When we sleep, we're fasting for 6 to 10 hours, depending on sleep duration. There is no caloric intake. During that time, the body needs energy and substrates to sustain vital processes. If circulating amino acids, especially essential amino acids, aren't available, the body will begin to break down muscle tissue to supply them. This is a normal biological response. But if your goal is to preserve lean muscle mass, improve recovery, and optimize long-term health, then it makes sense to address this proactively. Muscle loss overnight is a physiological process that often goes unnoticed, but has significant implications for individuals focused on maintaining or building lean mass. When we sleep, the body enters a prolonged fast, typically ranging from 6 to 10 hours, during which no external nutrients are consumed. This fasting period creates a metabolic state in which the body must rely on internal resources to sustain essential biological functions, including tissue repair, cellular regeneration, and energy production. One of the most vulnerable tissues in this context is skeletal muscle, which serves not only as a reservoir of amino acids, but also as a key component in mobility, metabolic health, and strength. The body, in the absence of readily available amino acids from dietary protein, can initiate a process known as muscle protein breakdown. This is a catabolic state where muscle tissue is degraded to supply amino acids for critical functions such as gluconeogenesis or the synthesis of other proteins necessary for survival. The hormonal environment during sleep also contributes to this process. Cortisol, a hormone involved in stress and metabolic regulation, typically rises during the early morning hours. Elevated cortisol levels are known to increase protein breakdown, particularly in muscle tissue. Additionally, although growth hormone is released during sleep and is generally anabolic, its effects are most pronounced when sufficient substrates like amino acids are present in the bloodstream. Without those substrates, the anabolic potential of sleep is significantly diminished. This dynamic underscores the delicate balance the body maintains between building and breaking down muscle tissue during rest. Moreover, the age decline in muscle mass, known as sarcopenia, is partially driven by this nightly cycle of muscle breakdown. As individuals age, their ability to synthesize muscle protein in response to dietary intake becomes less efficient, a phenomenon referred to as anabolic resistance. In the absence of strategies to counteract this process, even individuals who engage in regular resistance training can experience gradual muscle loss over time. This highlights the importance of understanding what happens to muscle tissue during sleep and taking appropriate steps to mitigate undesired losses. Muscle tissue is metabolically active, meaning it requires constant maintenance through the availability of essential amino acids. These amino acids must come from dietary sources since the body cannot produce them on its own. During waking hours, it's relatively easy to supply these through meals and supplements. But at night, unless something has been consumed shortly before sleep, the bloodstream becomes relatively devoid of these critical building blocks. The body is then forced to turn inward, breaking down muscle fibers to harvest the amino acids it needs. This is not an acute crisis, but rather a chronic, subtle erosion that can accumulate over weeks, months, and years, leading to reduced performance, slower recovery, and higher risk of injury or metabolic disease. The implications are especially relevant for athletes, older adults, and anyone recovering from injury or illness, where muscle preservation is a high priority. Understanding the mechanisms behind overnight muscle loss is essential for developing strategies that align with the body's natural rhythms and support long-term muscular health and function. Pre-sleep nutrition represents a targeted intervention to address the natural catabolic state that occurs during overnight fasting. The concept is grounded in a well-established principle of muscle physiology: To maintain or build skeletal muscle, the rate of muscle protein synthesis must equal or exceed the rate of muscle protein breakdown. During sleep, however, the balance often shifts toward breakdown, primarily because the body lacks an external supply of amino acids to support synthesis. In other words, by strategically ingesting specific nutrients before bed, particularly those rich in protein, it is possible to influence the body's overnight metabolic state in a way that favors preservation of muscle mass. The idea is not simply about increasing total daily protein intake, but rather about distributing that intake in a manner that aligns with the body's circadian rhythm and metabolic demands. Numerous studies have shown that providing protein before sleep can increase overnight muscle protein synthesis, especially when the protein source is rich in essential amino acids and digested slowly. This response is amplified in individuals who engage in resistance training, as exercise sensitizes the muscle tissue to amino acids for several hours after a workout. When protein is consumed before bed, it capitalizes on this heightened sensitivity, effectively extending the muscle building window into the overnight period. This has practical implications for anyone looking to optimize the results of their training, particularly those who work out in the evening, as the post-exercise recovery process continues well into the night. It's also important to understand that pre-sleep nutrition doesn't trigger digestive disruptions or negatively impact sleep quality when done properly. On the contrary, slow digesting protein sources such as casein provide a gradual release of amino acids into the bloodstream, avoiding spikes in insulin or discomfort that could interfere with rest. The protein is absorbed slowly, allowing for sustained availability of amino acids during the entire sleep cycle. This continuous supply helps maintain a more favorable anabolic environment where muscle tissue is preserved and the repair of exercise-induced damage is supported more effectively. Beyond resistance training and athletic performance, pre-sleep nutrition plays a role in aging populations, where anabolic resistance becomes more pronounced and nightly muscle loss can accelerate sarcopenia. In such cases, simply spacing protein throughout the day may not be sufficient. Pre-sleep intake serves as a dedicated window to intervene in a vulnerable metabolic state, helping to support muscle health over the long term. Even for individuals with average activity levels, maintaining lean mass is crucial for metabolic health, insulin sensitivity, and functional capacity. Therefore, using pre-sleep nutrition as a tool extends beyond performance and aesthetics. It becomes part of a broader strategy for lifelong physical resilience. Timing, dosage, and protein type are important variables. Research suggests that around 30 to 40 grams of high-quality protein, particularly casein, is effective in stimulating overnight muscle protein synthesis without causing digestive stress. When integrated into a consistent nighttime routine, this strategy can provide a metabolic buffer against the catabolic effects of fasting and promote greater overall muscle retention across time. Casein protein is uniquely suited for pre-sleep consumption due to its slow digestion and sustained amino acid release. Unlike rapidly digested proteins such as whey, which spike amino acid levels in the bloodstream quickly and then decline within a few hours, casein forms a gel-like substance in the stomach. This consistency slows gastric emptying, leading to a gradual and prolonged release of amino acids over the course of several hours. During sleep, when the body is in a fasted state and the risk of muscle protein breakdown is elevated, this extended release provides a steady stream of essential amino acids into circulation. These amino acids are critical for muscle repair, maintenance, and the suppression of catabolic processes. The unique pharmacokinetics of casein digestion make it the optimal protein source to consume before bed for those aiming to preserve lean body mass or support muscle recovery during overnight. Scientific literature supports the benefits of casein as a pre-sleep protein. Controlled studies have demonstrated that consuming casein before sleep results in increased rates of overnight muscle protein synthesis compared to placebo or no protein intake. These effects are particularly pronounced when casein is consumed after evening resistance training, as the muscle tissue remains sensitized to amino acid uptake following exercise. When casein is introduced into the system at this time, it synergizes with the body's natural repair mechanisms, promoting recovery and adaptation in a way that aligns with circadian biology. This makes the timing of casein ingestion a crucial factor, as it can effectively extend the anabolic window into the sleep phase. The slow digesting nature of casein also makes it favorable for metabolic regulation. Because it does not cause a rapid spike in blood glucose or insulin levels, it minimizes metabolic disruption before bed. This is an important consideration, as late-night spikes in insulin or blood sugar can negatively affect sleep quality and downstream hormonal responses. Casein, by contrast, maintains a stable internal environment while delivering the nutrients needed to support muscle preservation. In addition, casein protein is rich in branched-chain amino acids such as leucine, isoleucine, and valine, all of which are critical for stimulating muscle protein synthesis. Leucine in particular acts as a key trigger for initiating anabolic processes within muscle tissue, and the steady delivery of leucine from casein helps maintain this signal over time. Another significant aspect of casein is its high satiety effect. Its slow digestion means that it can help reduce nighttime hunger or the urge to snack late in the evening, which can often derail dietary consistency. This property can be especially useful for individuals who are managing calorie intake or aiming to reduce fat mass while maintaining muscle. The inclusion of casein in a structured evening routine serves multiple functions simultaneously. It promotes an anabolic environment during sleep, supports satiety, and aligns with the body's natural repair cycles. Whether consumed through whole foods like cottage cheese or in the form of a casein supplement, the goal is to ensure a reliable, slow release of amino acids to match the prolonged fasting state that characterizes sleep hours. Foods like Greek yogurt and cottage cheese are excellent natural sources of casein protein and offer a practical and accessible way to support muscle maintenance during sleep. These foods are derived from milk, which contains two main types of protein, whey and casein. While whey is rapidly digested, casein forms the bulk of milk protein and is digested more slowly, making these dairy products ideal for evening consumption, when the goal is to deliver a sustained release of amino acids throughout the night. Greek yogurt, in particular, is strained to remove much of the whey, concentrating the casein content while also increasing the overall protein density. Cottage cheese, especially the low-fat variety, is another highly concentrated source of casein and has been used for decades by athletes and bodybuilders as a nighttime staple for this very reason. In addition to their protein content, these foods provide a matrix of other nutrients that support muscle health and recovery. Greek yogurt, for instance, is rich in calcium, potassium, and magnesium, minerals that contribute to muscle function, neuromuscular signaling, and overall sleep quality. It also contains live probiotic cultures that support gut health, which has an increasingly recognized role in nutrient absorption, immune function, and even hormonal regulation. Cottage cheese is similarly rich in calcium and contains vitamin B12, which is essential for red blood cell production and nervous system function. These micronutrients complement the protein component by contributing to the physiological systems that underpin recovery and muscle maintenance. From a practical standpoint, incorporating these foods into a nighttime routine is relatively easy and requires little preparation. A serving of Greek yogurt or cottage cheese approximately 30 to 60 minutes before bed can supply around 20 to 30 grams of high-quality protein, a range shown in studies to effectively stimulate overnight muscle protein synthesis. These foods can be consumed plain or with added ingredients like a small amount of fruit or seeds, which add flavor and additional nutrients without significantly affecting the digestion rate or the insulin response. Because they are whole foods, they may be better tolerated by individuals who prefer natural sources of protein over supplements, and they offer the added benefit of being nutrient dense rather than purely protein-based. Another advantage of using Greek yogurt and cottage cheese as pre-sleep foods is their role in appetite regulation. The slow digesting nature of casein protein helps extend feelings of fullness, which can reduce late-night hunger cues and support adherence to dietary strategies aimed at fat loss or muscle preservation. This satiety effect, combined with the metabolic benefits of nighttime protein feeding, makes these foods an effective tool for improving body composition over time. For individuals who train in the evening, consuming a protein-rich snack like Greek yogurt or cottage cheese not only supports recovery, but also aligns with the body's heightened post-exercise anabolic sensitivity. These foods are also highly versatile and can be adapted to various dietary preferences and macronutrient targets, making them suitable for a wide range of health and fitness goals without requiring significant lifestyle adjustments. Pre-sleep protein intake supports recovery, muscle retention, and overall health by influencing several interconnected physiological processes that are active during sleep. Sleep is not merely a passive state, but a period during which the body carries out critical repair functions across multiple systems, including skeletal, muscle, tissue. After a day of physical activity, stress, and metabolic demand, the body enters a state where regeneration and rebuilding occur most efficiently, provided that the necessary nutrients are present. Among these, amino acids play a central role in supporting the synthesis of new muscle proteins, repairing damaged fibers, and facilitating the adaptations that result from exercise or daily exertion. Without sufficient amino acid availability during this window, the body's recovery process is compromised, leading to suboptimal muscle maintenance and a heightened risk of cumulative fatigue or overtraining. One of the key outcomes of consistent pre-sleep protein intake is the preservation of lean body mass. In situations where overall caloric intake is reduced, such as during a fat loss phase or among aging populations, there is an increased risk of muscle catabolism. Nighttime represents the longest period of fasting, and this extended fasting can exacerbate muscle loss if not addressed. By introducing a slow-digesting protein like casein before bed, the body receives a continuous supply of amino acids, which helps maintain a positive or at least neutral net protein balance through the night. This strategy is especially important in older adults who face anabolic resistance and reduced muscle protein synthesis with age, making it harder to retain lean mass unless protein intake is both sufficient and strategically timed. Recovery is not limited to muscle repair alone, but extends to hormone regulation, immune function, and cellular restoration, all of which are influenced by protein intake. High-quality proteins consumed before sleep can modulate the release of anabolic hormones such as growth hormone and insulin-like growth factor 1, IGF-1, both of which are essential for tissue regeneration. Furthermore, essential amino acids support the synthesis of glutathione and other antioxidant systems that reduce oxidative stress accumulated during the day. This reduces inflammation, speeds up the recovery of soft tissues and joints, and supports resilience across training sessions. The benefits of protein at night also include improved nitrogen balance, a key indicator of protein retention and muscle status, which correlates with greater strength maintenance and physical performance over time. In terms of broader health outcomes, consistent protein consumption before bed may support metabolic stability by improving blood glucose regulation and promoting fat oxidation. Because proteins have a minimal impact on insulin levels when consumed without high carbohydrate additions, they do not disrupt the natural rhythm of sleep hormonal patterns. In fact, a stable metabolic environment during sleep can enhance the depth and quality of rest, which in turn improves recovery. When sleep quality improves, cortisol regulation becomes more efficient, inflammation is reduced, and the next day's energy availability is enhanced. These downstream effects contribute not only to better muscle retention and performance, but also to long-term health outcomes, including better metabolic markers, improved body composition, and a reduced risk of age muscle decline or sarcopenia, which is linked to frailty, insulin resistance, and reduced mobility across the lifespan. Timing protein intake strategically enhances muscle maintenance during rest by aligning nutrient delivery with the body's natural rhythms of repair and regeneration. Muscle protein synthesis and muscle protein breakdown occur continuously in a dynamic balance. And this balance is influenced not only by the amount and quality of protein consumed, but also by when it is consumed. The body does not store amino acids the way it stores carbohydrates or fat, which means consistent intake of protein spaced across the day, and particularly before long fasts, like sleep, is critical for sustaining an anabolic environment. During rest, especially at night, the absence of nutrient intake creates a catabolic window where muscle tissue becomes more vulnerable to breakdown. Strategic timing of protein, particularly through pre-sleep intake, provides a continuous flow of amino acids into the bloodstream to counteract this effect and preserve lean muscle mass more effectively. The body's circadian rhythm plays a crucial role in modulating hormonal responses to food, and muscle tissue is especially sensitive to amino acid availability in the hours following exercise. Consuming protein shortly before bed ensures that this post-exercise sensitivity is not lost, particularly if the workout occurred later in the day. Muscle tissue that has been stressed through resistance training becomes more responsive to amino acid signaling, making the timing of protein intake not just a matter of habit, but of optimizing the muscle's adaptive response. The delivery of slow digesting protein sources such as casein prolongs amino acid availability during sleep and allows this recovery process to continue uninterrupted throughout the night. This concept of protein timing also relates to the body's ability to achieve net positive protein balance over a 24-hour period. While total daily intake remains a foundational variable, distributing protein evenly and with intention helps avoid extended periods of suboptimal amino acid availability. When protein intake is clustered only in the morning and afternoon, the overnight fast leaves the body in a prolonged catabolic state that can negatively affect muscle preservation. Pre-sleep protein acts as a bridge, ensuring that the body has a substrate available during the hours when it is repairing, rebuilding, and growing new tissue. This becomes even more essential in contexts like calorie restriction, high volume training, aging, or recovery from injury, where muscle tissue is at greater risk of degradation. From a mechanistic standpoint, the ingestion of protein before bed stimulates muscle protein synthesis during sleep, a period that is typically dominated by muscle breakdown in the absence of nutrients. When amino acids are steadily released into circulation over several hours, they can activate intracellular pathways like mTOR, which are critical for initiating and sustaining the synthesis of new muscle proteins. This molecular activity enhances the effectiveness of the body's natural recovery window and makes each night a continuation of the day's adaptive training response. Additionally, maintaining stable amino acid levels overnight helps regulate hormonal and inflammatory responses, reducing the cumulative stress on the body and supporting a state of readiness for the following day. This coordinated strategy of nutrient timing not only protects muscle mass, but also amplifies the benefits of consistent training and adequate rest, creating a feedback loop that supports long-term physical performance, resilience, and metabolic health.